Okay, we have our call in, being 8 o'clock, we'll begin the meeting with the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Approval of the bills.
I have one that I added this morning for Chris Plummer for the work he's completed in Edmore for $15,000.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
are we gonna include the law enforcement center bills in this as well as the highway department bills?
Sure.
Do we have a specific breakdown of law enforcement center bill yet?
Not yet.
I just saw the bill from the sheriff's department for $8,000 for,
That one, yeah.
for 8,000 something for, juvenile.
Oh, okay.
That's not the bill.
Okay, you count that.
Okay, so we're gonna count all of that. Okay. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Brown. Olson.
Aye.
Martins.
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Ister.
Aye. And the financial report. Everything seemed to be in order. Is there anything in the minus that we need to be aware of?
It's still the employee benefits, not the employee benefits, it's employee share of medical spending independence, but that'll come out of the red debt 2 months before the end of the year. We always advance it so they don't have to wait for their checks when they send in their medical accounts.
Okay.
The line item for law enforcement spending, is that only for the 5 months? We haven't got the June bill yet?
Right. She said she'd be late because she was on vacation, so we'll present it at the second meeting. And then I'll do a scenario where we're at for as far as what we have left in the
We're
budget.
running, what, 61% of our budget for 5 months?
Yeah,
Mhm.
So we're gonna be probably
taking out of general
50%
fund.
plus.
Mhm. Any input from the commissioners on the law enforcement center board on that issue?
What issue?
Oh, just that we're on hand.
We were at 61% at 5 months.
Lonnie's got to put good people in jail.
Yeah, that's the part of the problem. Don't jump
The
around.
sheriff needs to quit picking people up, the police. Cost what it costs.
They put a freeze on hiring and all that. Hiring COs. I was told on, somebody has been signing checks Thursdays, Friday.
And that was at your last board meeting that they did that?
No,
That was-
Thursday or Friday was last week, when I signed checks, so they told me that.
Steve was starting.
Okay. I don't know much else you can do. Can't make people be good.
Then our next meeting will be over the 20th.
Right.
Yep.
19. Nope, 20. Sure.
What do you want?
I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial reports.
I'll move.
Second.
Motion by Lightfon, second by Olson. Roll call on that.
Brown.
Aye.
Martins.
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ister.
Aye. Motion carries. And we'll go to approval of the treasurer's checks.
Approved.
Second.
We have a motion by Martins and a second by Brown to approve the treasurer's checks as listed. Do we need roll call on that?
Lightfon.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
move on to the agenda, I have one thing to add under old business, and that would be that I would like more input from the other commissioners on the letter that we voted to send to Grant Levi at the last meeting. Commissioner Mertens was kind enough to give us a draft, and I just was wanting to have input from the other commissioners on it before I signed it and sent it.
Do we have a copy of it, or is that?
Yeah, that's what I
She
gave
brought
you.
us one out.
I would like to add that a sentence that just says that the mining oil turnoff is a very, very dangerous turnoff, and it would be necessary for us to have turnoff lanes there for that reason also.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get to old business, okay?
Yep.
Thanks. Anything else anyone would like to add to the agenda this morning? I'll
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Excuse me.
We have a motion by Lycon and a second by Brown to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Stacy?
All right.
Good morning. I apologize for not having a report ready. I was gone 2 days last week, so we moved, I drove a U-Haul for 2 days from Iowa back to North Dakota. No air conditioning, no radio, window down all the way.
And a lot of wind.
So I'm not making a report up. I'll just tell you, we had 78 veterans and family members in last month. And everything continues to stay busy. So, if there's any questions, write them down and send them to me.
Stacy, is everything running well at the clinic at this point in time?
There's issues that have come up regarding the doctor that's doing the telehealth. And even the people I've talked to at the VA has, when I mention his name, they roll their eyes and tilt their head and shake it a little bit. And we're finding out that he's questionable as to how he treats some of the veterans. I've had complaints come in where he is changing medication without letting the veteran know. And it has messed some of the people up, so. I've made the inroads to the VA and let them know what's going on. And it's basically in their hands.
And this is a doctor up here at the...
He's stationed in Grafton, and then he sees the veteran over the television, computer. And then he comes once a month, and he'll be here 1 to 2 days to see him personally. And even in my case, he's altered my medication where I ended up with a skin rash and liver damage and that kind of thing. So he is questionable. And when it affected me personally, I took a little more personal interest in it. So the VA will address the situation, how rapidly or however, I don't know. But he did request to come to North Dakota from Florida, so there's a... But he has a brother that works at the All-True Clinic, and that was his reason for coming to North Dakota.
You want?
The VA is aware of this.
Oh yeah, we've numerous doctors that I've talked to at the VA, the doctors that I see, all recognize the name and they do the head twist and then roll their eyes back, and so they've heard of them some way or another. And then veterans are complaining about them also, not just me, other veterans.
TV over the TV, is that getting miscommunicated or something, or?
I don't think it's quite what, I've had problems with it. I don't think it's the end all to the best of care. It's just, there is rumor that there's a PA, physician's assistant, gonna be stationed there. They're still waiting for larger numbers, and I still believe we're in the 400 to 500 area as far as veterans using the clinic. But we're also seeing veterans that thought it was gonna be good that have left there because there was something bad. They've gone to another doctor, another VA doctor, rather than
What's
coming
it
here.
in Fargo then, or?
Fargo, Grand Forks, Minot, where they can get hands-on care. And that's, you see, the older veterans prefer that quite a bit more.
I'm sure the director in Fargo, what's his name? Your head man?
Yeah, I don't, oh, you mean the commissioner?
Yeah.
I don't know that he's aware of it, but he wouldn't have anything to do with it. He's North Dakota Veterans Affairs, where the doctor that's here is VA governed.
You don't think he could help you?
He could just do what I did, stomp his feet and knock on doors.
Well, it'd be two of you stomping the street then.
My feet are bigger than his.
Would you prefer that a letter from the Ramsey County Commission be sent?
I don't think at this time it's gonna speed or make any effect. I think the numbers of complaints from veterans is what's gonna, I contacted the patient advocate in Fargo just last week. And him and I visited personally, and he was going to the people at the top of the offices down there and was going to see what the procedure is. Removing a doctor, even a poor doctor, might not be a good thing for the VA. We need the doctor. But yet, what he's doing isn't too good.
That's right.
We had one veteran that he changed his blood pressure medication and he started falling down and he wasn't blacking out, but he lost his balance, and this gentleman is in his late 80s. That's not good.
No.
So that's where I took a personal note and I went to Fargo and talked to him.
Okay, you should, sounds like you're on top of it, so.
Well, I'd like to be able to push some more buttons, but, and I'll contact Lonnie and see what he can do. Yeah.
Well, let us know if there's anything else that we can do.
I certainly will.
As a
If
board.
it comes to that, we'll bring it up.
Thank you. Anything else, Stacy?
No, that's it.
Okay. Bill's not here, we'll go on to Kevin.
Okay, we'll start out with our project updates. Graveling the Prairie Road, they do have that one done now, and Soper's doing both that one and Ramsey Nelson County line. They started on that. If depending on the weather, they should get that done this week. The county line.
Pretty decent quality of gravel, Kevin?
Yeah, we've been testing it.
Okay.
Passes the test. I guess that's about all we can do. You know?
Okay. Some looks a little iffy.
I don't know, what do you do? I mean, if it passes the test, then
Yeah.
So when we advertise for bids on that, what are our specs, what grade?
it's a North Dakota Class 13
So we're going class,
surface gravel.
and there's certain specs that it has to meet to hit 13, that's what we're testing.
Yep.
That's what the contract says, that's what we're going for.
Yeah.
If we want better gravel, we'll have to change our specs on the class and pay more.
Right, yeah, that's the way it goes.
I guess bad gravel better than no gravel at all.
Yeah, you know, looks are deceiving. I mean, I've said that for years. You can find the best material specialist in 5 states and give him 2 pails of gravel and he can't tell by looking at what it is without testing it.
So the stockpile sample, was that the stockpile sample we
Yeah,
ran?
you guys sample.
That was, it wasn't even close to any limits on the gradation ranges, so.
Yeah, they hit the middle of every range, so, or just about the middle of every range.
And their fracture cases were really high, which means it's good crushed material that should stay together a little better.
You've had complaints?
Excuse me?
You've had complaints?
No, I haven't, I was just coming from the aspect of if it's Silver's doing that, they must be pulling the same pile that they use for township roads and they put some.
No, I
different.
don't, no, I think they have a hard time, they have to import stuff to make this. So there might be a difference between what
All of
we
the
get.
stuff on my township road I thought was good,
Yeah.
and they did ours, so. I thought it was decent gravel, seemed like it was holding together well, so. Again, I'm not a soil scientist.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for 20-some years and I can't tell the difference.
I know I've been over
In
the
a
road
pail.
north of Prairie, I thought it was fine, so.
Yeah.
We do that road, what, every 10 years? Is that what it is?
6
Six?
6 years. Okay, Ramsey County 8, thin lift overlay, maybe you wanna touch base on Paul?
I think basically all they have up so far is the signs, Knife River has probably given us a good indication when they're gonna be coming back, other than, middle of July probably. They're gonna start 9 first, I think, because that one has an early completion date.
Yeah, I've done some patching on that.
The patching of 9's done, they haven't started patching on 8 yet.
And the one on 9 does have a completion date of July 30th.
Yeah.
July 29th, one of the two.
30th.
Any questions on those two projects? That's about all we have going right now.
We get your hydraulic report back on the culverts, just 1.8 miles east of Webster, and those aren't big enough, so I wouldn't say one's back in. That's when we go to an arch or something.
All right, next item, Cavalier County got a hold of me, and they'd like us to reconsider our maintenance agreement on the county line road. They claim they have to do a lot more blading from the hog farm to the state highway 1, and they feel the traffic's being generated out of Ramsey County. I have a copy of our agreement here, basically says from Hamden west, we take care of, which is 15 miles. And from Hamden east, they take care of, which is 15 miles. And this was signed in 2004. I believe it was probably before the hog farm was there, but I think it was in the works at the time.
In 2004.
It was
Might
just
have
maybe
been there,
thought.
might have been there in 01, 02, somewhere in there.
Oh, two?
Yeah. It was around that time
What's their idea? They got an
They
idea?
never really said.
They never did say. They want us to just take all 30 miles, is that what they want, probably?
I think so, yep. And the issue was they had to blade it more often, and then because of the grain traffic, hog traffic, whatever,
They're talking just between the hog farm and 1,
that's the feeling I got, you know.
that's what, a couple miles?
It's like 2.5 or 3 miles, have to be 3, is it 2?
Somewhere.
Whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not far.
The grain traffic, where's the grain headed then?
Whatever they feed them hogs, I don't know.
But the grain's probably going into Cavalier County to an elevator, right? Is that what they're talking?
Whatever they're feeding
Well, no,
the
if
pigs,
they're bringing in soybean over, wherever they feed the pig, I suppose.
I don't know. Might
Like
want
grain
to-
traffic, that's what they mean, going to the hog farm?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
feed traffic.
yeah, the food for the pigs.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
does the hog farm, pay for any maintenance on that road?
Not that I'm aware of, they don't pay us for sure, I don't
They probably should.
okay. What kind of cost would that add if you added 2 more miles, say? And made it 17, 13?
It'd just be the extra blading,
So would it be a lot of cost increase?
probably, yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Well, it's not connected, it's a few miles out of the way, you'd have to
Yeah,
drive
that's
just
the
do 2
thing.
miles.
we're not up there every day or every week.
Right.
Yeah.
But they didn't come back with an alternative.
No, they just wanted us to.
Let's just wait and see what they say, I mean,
That was my
they got
idea.
no problem, they'll come back with some type of plan, I would think.
Exactly.
I would agree with that, just ask them what their plan is, what they want.
Okay.
So,
They're working to do this for us.
Well, I guess leave it alone.
We'll approach it that way.
Okay.
If you have a plan, we can move forward.
Any maintenance is split then if we gravel or anything like that?
Yes,
That's
any
good.
improvements, any sign,
That's all split
And not
50/50.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, then I need to order a load of culverts for inventory in the shop there, and they're gonna cost $11,431.30.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor to order the culverts. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mertens,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Lightfon,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Heisler.
Aye.
And then the State Water Commission finally got back to us on the Maloney Bridge. Their determination was that the flow rate is at 1460 CFS. And I haven't gotten any recommendation or anything from the local water board yet, but just Paul and I sizing things, the size of the culverts would be 314 inch. That would closely match that. And they're gonna cost approximately $22,500. $114 is 9.5 feet, so it'd be 3 9.5 footers.
That's 22.5 for all three of them together.
Yep, that's the total cost of the culverts.
When did we want to do this work, Kevin?
Like, the 11th we'll start,
11th of July?
yeah.
Do you need
We've got-
approval from the local water board before you start?
Well, it's up to you guys. I mean, we don't need to, but they gave us the 1460 CFS, and if, working with the engineers, we came up with the 114.
They're not here today, are they?
I don't know.
No, I think they meet next week.
How long it's gonna take to get culverts here if you order them? You don't have those on?
They'll be here the 18th. I checked on that. We have one other, that 72-inch arch we ordered last meeting. We worked on that one first, and then by the 18th, we'll be ready for this one.
We don't know what the local water board wants to do yet.
No, I mean, since October, I've been, and then asking for size culverts, and now I get the 1460 CFS from
From the state.
the state, but they asked the state for the number, so I'm assuming that they'll go, well, I know they'll go with.
You think so, Paul? You meet with the water board once in a while, right?
Yeah, right. They just wanted to make sure they have the same capacity, I think, same as they've been doing before. And they based that 1460 CFS on, they've got a gauging station right close to there. So they've got good data for that site.
Well, I'll make a motion to go ahead and order the culverts.
Do we want to talk about renting the equipment first and then do it all in one possibly?
It's up
Or
to
do you
you.
want to do it
I would
separately?
do it separately,
Separately,
yeah.
okay. Commissioner Brown has made a motion to buy the culverts at 22.5, is there a second?
Just one question, so the 314s, you say they closely match the 1460 CFS, are they under the 1460 or over?
Just a little under, weren't they? I didn't bring that chart with me.
That was my only question, because I mean,
There's so many variables on the
Yeah.
CFS, but, and I guess if worst came to worst, we could add one down this year, or next year, or whatever, a smaller one, if they were having issues with the low water.
Downstream?
that's good. Well,
We're in the
no,
same
I think
The
it's
low
if you
water.
put it off to the side, because it's kind
Concern.
of washed out to the side a little bit, the channel there is fairly wide, so.
Yeah, the channel was really wide.
Very
there.
wide, yeah.
So you could easily put another small one in if you needed to, that's
If
good.
we had 2 years from now, or next year, or when.
Well, I was just thinking, you know, if it would cost a little more to go to maybe like a 10-foot instead of a 9.5, you know.
It would, but then we'd really be increasing the size.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that just adding a little bit of diameter really adds a lot of flow, so.
It'd be at 6.9 feet per second, which is the 1460 CFS through that side opening. It'd be, under 7 feet per second of flow at full, internal flow.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's perfectly acceptable.
Oh, it's on the 3 114s then are pretty much exactly.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's not a real fast stream through there.
Okay.
You don't wanna get over, I don't know what the top limit is, but anything in the single digits is usually okay on the ones we've done.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to purchase the culverts. Roll call, please.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Martins.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Brown. Heisler.
Aye.
Can I make one mention real quick? Just my only thing with it too is just check with the water board at the same time and then see maybe they want us to put another little one in or something, so when you're doing the work, right away we'll know, that way you don't have to dive back in the air if that's
Rather
what
than
they
have
want.
to go back in.
Because we got little,
We'll do that.
we've got some smaller ones here, so we'll have to take care of it right away.
Well, if they're here on the 18th, I would imagine they're meeting on the 19th.
And then, well, if they, next week or the
Right.
week after.
The water board?
Meeting 7 AM on 14th.
Oh, so yeah,
Oh,
we're
okay,
right,
so
we're
I
doing the
mean,
work
so,
anyway,
yeah,
so
just
that we.
so they're in
we'll put
the
another
know,
one
but
in then.
if they've got further recommendations, we'll know. Okay. All right.
And then the prices to rent an excavator are $5,400 a month, and a trench packer is $2,200 a month. And that's from the locals, like Butler for the excavator and Bobcat or Ironhide, whatever they call themselves, for the packer.
So you only need to use it for a month then to get everything
Yep,
done?
I think a month would be enough. We got some other smaller projects, like, a couple of 36-inch we're gonna lower, but we'll need about a month.
I'll make a motion to allow renting of the excavator for $400 and the trench packer for $2,200 for 1 month.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Martins. Martins.
Aye.
Lightfon.
Aye.
Heisler.
Aye.
Okay, and this last item is just, I wouldn't expect any action today. Let's see, I do have a motion on there that will eventually need a motion. This is the permit that we've developed for overweight. It's kind of mirroring Barnes County. The thought was that if we had some kind of a permit that covered multiple counties, it'd be easier for the contractors to follow. So we've been working together with Barnes to develop this permit. I didn't get it sent with my agenda, but I did lay a copy on everybody's desk.
This one?
And then the fees are on the back too of what Barnes County uses. Now, we could put any fees we wanted to in there, but it's a little bit different than what the western part of the state is using. Their fees get into the thousands of dollars. These are quite a bit lower. This is for like loads that can't be split, like wind towers, for instance, or excavators, big dozers, any kind of loads that can't be divided up.
And they get these from you? These
Our thought is we're gonna put this on the website, yeah, but they can,
Yep.
but our thought was we're gonna put this as a fillable permit on the website also. And then when they apply for the permit, it would come to me for approval. Before they actually got the permit, I'd have to approve it. But that's an option we were thinking of doing also, through the website.
How many other counties in the state are doing this?
The whole western part's doing it. Now on the east side, Walsh has got their own, Pemmon has got their own. Ward, of course. Now Barnes and Jamestown. I think what Jamestown, Stutzman, and us. And we've got, I think Griggs is looking at this.
Who's using these type of permits then, Kevin? Who would
For
you?
contractors, you mean? Like people that are hauling, dozers, or big excavators. A big customer of ours is those people that put tile in when they pull it, when they need to move that, tile thing that buries the tile. Barnes County was having issues with wind towers, I'm not sure where the wind towers were going. But like all those parts for the wind towers, propellers and generators themselves.
We have probably never had a blade go up a county road, wind tower blade.
Probably not. That's a good question, I don't know. Not on ours anyway. They were on the state highways,
But they have to get permits from the state when they use the state highways.
but absolutely.
You familiar with what they're charging?
I think this does somewhat mirror the state, in the eastern part of the state, yes. The only thing that might be different is the over length prices for the state.
Other than the wind towers, you think road outfits are using it, and are they using the county roads now without any permits? But they're probably getting state permits, huh?
They're getting state permits, they do call us and say, we need to move this piece of machinery, we give them one trip in, one trip out, you know, just so they can get it moved.
Do you have any idea roughly offhand what they're weighing when they go in? Or they
Yeah,
weigh
they get
100?
up around 100, over 100,000, 105, depending on what piece of
They're over
machinery.
105.
Depending on what piece of machinery.
Do they have enough tires underneath there generally?
They have to get through the state system, so, yeah. It's just that we would be collecting a fee now for, the other way another reason for the permits is to push them on the routes that we want, rather than put them on a gravel road or a township road or something like that. We can tell them which routes they have to use.
Most of the time, they'll use Highway 20 or Highway 1. If they're going into Cavalier County or if they're going to Towner County,
Yeah, absolutely.
they don't use any county roads. Unless they're going to a destination
Right.
within Ramsey County.
Exactly, yes. When the wind towers do, if for some reason there would be a wind tower, you know, another good one might be the pipeline that's coming through. They may have excavators that are too big, I don't know, but it's a possibility. I'm sure there'll be a few pieces of equipment that may be too heavy for the pipeline. Anytime that they can divide a load, that's what we can do. See, that's the thing with the pipeline, we could tell them which routes they have to take, rather than you can't use this township road or this trail or whatever.
You know, we got gross vehicle weight at 80,000 and 150. You know, there's farmers that are hauling over 80 on the county roads that they got the tires for it. You know, legally, they're all right on state highways, but we're gonna ask for this permit from them, or?
Only if they go over that legal weight.
If they go over the 105.
No,
Right.
they go,
Over the 80,000.
they go over 80, 80 is
Okay.
the legal limit.
Yeah,
And I guess if they never asked, I would never know if they were doing it, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Let's not put something in print that, you know, have them breaking the law, because I'm sure they don't wanna do that.
right, I mean, yeah,
You know, they have the tires for it on a state highway, I mean, they're legal. But they're supposed to be buying a $20 permit if they're running 105,
150, yeah. Yeah, 105.
so I don't think we want that category in there.
So we're worrying about that at
So,
all the terminals then that we're talking about, too?
well, like on some of those roads, they're already at 105. Like the one that goes to Prairie, the one that goes to
Doyen?
going in and the truck route.
And the truck one.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't need permits. for
They
those.
shouldn't need them then, for there.
But that's, I'm talking about farmers coming down county roads. And they're legal at 105 with their triple axle trailers, and if they got a tag on their tractor, you know, they're legal. But if
So
we're
does
gonna-
this-
we're gonna throw an 80,000 pound road restriction on that road year round, then they're not legal.
Right.
I don't believe we wanna do that.
It's already there.
Well, yeah, see, technically, we already have an 80,000 pound restriction on all of our roads.
Yeah, we
that are
do.
Labeled 105.
If the,
If you load 80,001 on Ramsey County 3, you're over.
Correct.
if the cop told you.
If you run 105, you can get pulled over at any point on a county road.
Correct. Are we gonna start nailing farmers for that?
I've often thought about the fact maybe we need to revisit how our roads are structured, maybe raise our limits at some point.
Yes, I agree with you there, because trucks are,
Well, I mean-
you know what they're doing out of.
Well, I mean, even guys that get the overload state permit that are running 80 and they can run, what, 10% above or whatever the threshold.
Yeah.
Technically, everyone that's running one of those down a county road to get to a state highway is over.
Right.
Every last one of them. Because, I mean, we all know how that operates. You buy a 10% overage and then you load to 88. You know, because that's just what you do. I mean, that's,
50 a month, and you can have,
yeah. But I mean, we don't recognize that. I mean, so where's our base of our roads in terms of the capability to handle these loads? You know?
Yeah,
I mean, do we have the option to raise the limits on our roads in their current condition?
good question.
I mean, what are the standards to raise the weights? Does it count off the base, width? I mean, what are those standards, I guess?
I guess, was it Dale or Brian that's been doing, maybe both of them have the, going to an axle weight limit. If you have the axles for it, you're making less trips over the road, so it actually causes less damage overall.
To go to a higher weight.
Well, to go to, yeah, weight axle limit. I mean, so
Weight,
you're-
weight per axle instead of total weight.
Right, so then the ones that have the extra axles can haul the 105 without doing as much, it actually do less damage as the 5 axle 80,000.
Yeah. I think it's something we need to revisit as a whole too, and I mean, even looking at speed limits to an extent, because, I mean, we don't want trucks driving 65 down county roads probably, but if you looked at the research that's been done by the NDDOT and the Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute, they found that if you increase the speed a little bit, you're actually doing less damage. If you're going 50 instead of 40, because you're actually not rolling on the road as much as you would be if you're driving 40. I think it's just a whole thing we need to look at in terms of how we're treating the road system, because, you know, maybe we can't move up because of how our roads are structured, but I think it's worth looking at because everyone's driving bigger loads and, you know, we can't piecemeal the structure together. You know. I don't disagree with having an overload when you're, like you said, 105 plus, but I think it needs to be a total look at the system to see where we're at.
Well, we need to be consistent.
Yes.
We can't start this, we look the other way kind of stuff, where they're gonna do it, we're not gonna do it, we have to be,
Fair. It's gotta be fair for
consistency
everyone.
is the,
And then, doesn't matter, whether it's paved or gravel too, I mean, pavement's what you're mostly concerned about, I would think, but.
Mostly, yeah.
But
Another thought there is it's easier to repair the gravel if they're on
Yeah, I mean, and then you're running into the problem of collector roads too. I mean, guys are gonna be loading 105 driving down a township road to get to a county
Yeah.
road. I mean, so, I mean, that has to be taken into account as well.
plus the bridges that won't handle it.
I mean,
Oh,
it's,
right.
we have different entities that are in charge of different roads, but they're all getting affected by the same gravel from the last time we looked at it together.
And do you know, are the townships visiting on this? Are they making plans? Do they have ideas of
I don't think so.
requiring permits? I mean, Ed, do you know?
I would venture most townships, they know who's hauling over what roads, and they're just giving those probably a little bit more attention. You know, maybe a couple extra bladings a year, because they know where guys are hauling mostly out of what their routes are. More gravel, a little few more bladings, things like that.
I think what it all boils down to is everybody that drives a truck overloaded knows that they're overloaded, and if they're misusing the roads, there should be a penalty for it. Everybody who's going down with excavators and everything else knows that they're overloaded, and they know if you should get a permit. Truck drivers know that stuff.
Oh yeah, something like excavators, yeah, if you
Contractors.
know you're 105 plus, you know you're overloaded, but I think Ed makes it a good point in saying those guys are between 80 and 105, you know.
They're legal.
Are they legal, are they not legal? I mean, are our roads capable of handling more than the 80 we have posted now? Like Paul brought up, maybe an axle limit. I mean, I just think it's a whole discussion that needs to be had in terms of what we think our roads can handle under, you know, some common sense guidelines, because otherwise, you know, we don't want to overload them either.
Sure it is. We had a guy from the DOT come in and explain that at a Northeast 9 meeting. And,
Exactly.
You know, so it's pretty clear.
And like I said, this is, you know, for discussion, we don't need a decision on this today, but maybe kick it around again.
I'm fine taking her out for a little bit, I think I'd like to, it's something, we need to kind of just take a look at where we're at, I think. Is it possible you could pull up or get somebody from NDDOT that does the presentation on the information that we're looking for on speeds and all that, and then maybe have an assessment of the roads we have, so maybe we can look at some options? I mean, because maybe our roads are all set, we can only do an 80, and if that's the case, that's the case. But I don't think it never hurts to take a look at it, you know, and see where we're at.
We could get somebody to talk about axle loading and that kind of stuff, but as far as looking at the roads, they'd probably refer us to an engineering firm or something to determine whether or not they can, I don't think they'd wanna hang their hat on it.
Yeah.
That's just about it.
Okay.
Is there any number that you think we would have for these permits?
How many?
500 of them gonna come in, or 50 gonna come in, you know?
Yeah, probably 30, 40, 50 a year. We see a lot of houses going too, which I don't know if they're overweight, but they're overweight.
And they're on our county road?
For the amount of time that you're gonna put into this, these bees look awfully small to me, I mean.
Yeah, that's another thing. It does take time.
It may be different if you took 2 seconds to road a permit, but
Yeah,
that isn't gonna happen.
no, you're right.
Well, yeah, the enforcement portion of it comes into play here,
Yeah, and that would be somebody else even.
so it's something we're gonna have to.
Should visit with the sheriff before we do anything.
And get the sheriff involved too, probably.
That 80,000 should be raised, I think, to 105. The guy catch the heavy trucks from, you know, an R over 105. These road outfits, they're not gonna pull something with 5 axles when it weighs 120,000. You know, no,
Well, 'cause they got
equipment to do it with, so.
They got me on the state
The
system.
enforcement agent came into the meeting and said that he wasn't gonna touch anybody unless we had some kind of a permit process in place and that they were aware of it and they had permission to stop people. As far as I know, we've only had one.
And that was when the guy came 2 years ago or so at the Northeast 9 meeting.
Had a couple.
So it isn't like they're out there hassling people or anything like that. I think I think the question today is whether we want to adopt a permit or not. You know, to go over all of this and fine tune everything is, you know,
permission, as long as they got their permits through the state. We just give them a one trip in and one trip out, wherever.
And we don't charge anything.
We should adopt something and then fine tune it and re-look at it, revisit it as we learn. We're not gonna learn everything today.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I guess the question is whether or not we want to look at single trip permits on our county roads.
Yeah, I guess my feeling is with the pipeline getting close, I think we should have something in place, but
You think you're gonna start on it?
the pipeline, I think that's the plan.
Oh, yeah, they've got all their permits signed, they're gonna put the pipeline through.
I haven't heard the okay yet.
Okay.
I don't think they've got their okay in Minnesota yet, they're not gonna bring any pipe here until Minnesota gets their, okay. At least that's how was my understanding.
But all through North Dakota, they've been permitted.
Yeah, well, they're set up to go, but they're not gonna burn any pipe until they know they can finish the whole line, I think.
It hasn't been agreed upon over there at all.
So we probably got some time.
Yeah. I mean, we might see a little bit of pre-work done this fall or something, or probably next summer would be my guess, but that's just, speculation, I guess. I mean, I agree that, I think a permit fee, like we're looking at, I think is something we need to do. But it's just a matter of where do you set that baseline off of our current road system. I would hate to take and put it at 80,000 and then we decide to move our road limits or something. I mean, it's not hard to change it, I guess. If we want to do it, it's not,
Well, just so it's
perfect.
publicized and,
Yeah, it's just so the public knows what's,
so the public knows where we're at.
you don't wanna send
Yeah.
mixed signals and say, oh, we're doing this and now we're doing this, And what we've done in the past, I mean, if it's only 30 or 40 a year at this current time, I mean, it's not gonna kill us to wait a meeting or two to adopt a
No,
policy.
no,
I mean,
no.
we've been going this way for a
I
while.
don't think we wanna rush into this.
No, I agree.
Well, let's throw this scenario out then. Let's say they started on the pipeline. For every load of pipe you go down a county road, we're gonna charge you for every load?
Well, every overload, every,
Overloaded,
Pipe overloaded, do we know?
pipe is.
No, and that's why I think you could make the case to go to a per axle limit instead of a total weight limit, because if you went to a per axle limit and they stuck enough axles under and they had the equipment to do it right, they're never gonna have a problem then. If we go to,
Let's say they start burying pipe up here where the pile is, and they go right across the county. They probably won't put one of them excavators back on the road, unless it's right down.
Yeah.
You don't need one to get there, they could start right there and go right across the country.
well, I think most of the time that's what's gonna happen anyway, I suppose, they'll drop it off in one spot and just keep
Yeah,
going.
they don't like moving them.
Well, that
Typically,
takes
there's
time to load
like
it up.
4 or 5 and they leapfrog though.
Right.
Oh, do they? Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense, I suppose.
I think we should revisit, like Adam said.
Yeah.
Set the schedule so it's, workable for everybody.
Well, and maybe check with some of the other counties that the pipeline would be going through and see what they have planned.
I think like Ward and, they have something in place.
Yeah, they've got oil traffic out.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking Nelson, Pierce, Towner. Grand Forks, I don't know, what does Grand Forks have?
Saying probably something similar to this.
To
I don't know the fee schedule.
Right, but we should probably look at their fee schedule as well and come up with something that's realistic for the time involved and the,
This fee schedule kind of mirrors the state, that's why.
right.
That permit must have been a handout, I don't have that, so.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
So the question today is whether or not we're going to adopt that permit, so he's asking for a motion. If we make the motion and deny it, then we move on. If we make the motion and accept it, then we move on that way. So, do we want to make the motion, or do we just want to delay it?
I'd be okay if it was tabled too.
Yeah, I would say kind of.
Can we table it till the next meeting?
Let's table it, let's get Kevin some more information when he can.
Yeah,
That's kind of what my thought was.
I'll make a motion to table it till next week.
I'll say.
a motion by Mertens and a second by Lightfon to table the motion for overweight permitting. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Anything else, Kevin?
No, I was out of town, but I can't think of anything, nope.
No problems with the search and rescue building in your,
No,
anything you
everything's
need
going
to add?
good.
Everything's going really good? Okay,
Yeah, the floor, concrete's all poured on, except for the slab out front, but the floor is done.
alright. Apparently Bill isn't coming today. Did you visit with Kristen? Kristen won't be here today. You visited with her, and did you want to report on that? Did Kristen visit with you about the walkthrough for the district court?
No.
Okay. There is a grant available from the state on the courts on increased security. And the initial portion of it is to do a walkthrough of the building and determine whether we have adequate security, whether we need enhanced security, and what could be done to enhance our security if that were the case. And that is scheduled for late July. I don't know the exact date. I think it was the 27th, but I'm not sure. So don't quote me on it, but we will get it. If anybody else that would, any of the other commissioners that would like to be present for the walkthrough of the security of that group, I'll make sure you get notified of when it is by Kristen. And we'll move on to old business. And again, has everyone had a chance to read the draft by Commissioner Mertens on the letter to the state highway on what's going to be done with Highway 2 in reference to increased safety in the area? Adam, I know you visited further as I did with Greg Semenko, and he is willing to come back. He has talked with the state, and they are going to do a full-blown study of traffic on Highway 2 East. They're not, I think it's pretty obvious that not everybody is going to get exactly what they want, but they will come up with a full-blown operation study that says, and I'm just throwing things out here, I don't know what they'll do. They may move the entrance into Vining Oil. In order, they can't put a left-hand turn lane in there at that point because of the geometrics of it, but that they may offer to move their entrance down so they can put a left-hand turn lane in. That might not be exactly what Vining Oil or the campground wants, but it would increase the safety factor significantly. The same with Ackerman Acres. There are now 3 entries into Ackerman Acres within a quarter of a mile of each other. That is obviously a safety issue. They may ask to put less entries off the highway into that area. Those are just some of the things that will be looked at. I think, I don't have much patience, but I think patience is the key here. It's a good idea to send them a letter and let them know that we are still extremely concerned about the safety issue, and we hope that they move as quickly as possible on it. Commissioner Mertens, I certainly appreciate the time and effort you put into the draft. I just wanted to know if any of the other commissioners had anything to add before the letter was actually sent.
Well, like I said earlier, Madam Chair, that I'd like to just add a sentence on there or incorporate a sentence in there that says that on the binding oil portion, that is a very dangerous and very unsafe place to get off the highway. And then I left it open for the salutation or whatever and the signature, so. I still think we should send a letter.
Oh, absolutely, and I didn't by any means think that we should not send a letter. I just wanted to know if any of the other commissioners had any input.
I guess after visiting with Greg on it, I still think sending a letter is a good idea, just to say what our preference is. I don't know if it's necessarily going to change their mind or speed them up, but at least puts us on record as this is what our preference is. In talking with him about it, it sounds as though the problem that they're running into with the just strict left-hand turn lanes over any other type of design is that, and that's why they're gonna do the new traffic op studies, it comes down to what he called a warrant study. So there's so many left-hand turn lanes that are in right, or not left-hand turn lanes, but median crossings that you can get across on now, that none of them are being used enough as a whole to warrant a left-hand turn lane. But if you look at possibly shutting down some of them, then it will push the traffic to the other ones, and all of a sudden it becomes warranted, then you have a safety issue, and then you can put a left-hand turn lane in. That's what.
You might have to look into the future on this.
No, but I agree too. I mean, the future.
If you go into the valley, Adam, that will warrant at least 3 turnoff lanes.
Well, I agree. I mean, but I think what it comes down to is they're gonna look at that study, they're gonna determine what the warrant is on it, and then they'll come back with a plan. And then at that point, we can say we like the plan, we don't like the plan. I don't think that they're opposed to a left-hand turn lane concept. It's just a matter of, under their specs and standards, they have to justify it. They've got policy and protocol they have to follow too, unfortunately.
I think the full-blown study would also include a public hearing on it, so that, there will be public input.
Hopefully there will be, yeah, I agree.
Well, and we'll come to a point where we need to bring the other the private stakeholders into the picture on this. We need to have input from Ackerman Acres, from Vining Oil, from whoever, and not everybody is going to get exactly what they want, but we've got to get something done so that safety is highlighted and that we're doing what we can for safety.
It's like going to the doctor, you know better than anybody else what's wrong with you. And the public knows what's needed, and the people that reside in those subdivisions and those businesses know best as to what is needed for their business, because they see the traffic every day. So I think that they will probably have a public hearing on that. And of course, the Ackermans and the Bidens will be invited to come.
Okay.
I think that we should get that done as soon as possible, and turnoff lanes should be put in somewhere, even if they're only temporary, just so we can fight. It's going to be, a year from now before we have anything done with it.
Right, well, it's taken, 3 years to get Highway 19 in the works, so yeah, it's not gonna happen overnight, but that's another good point to raise. Temporary fixes done in a very timely manner is imperative. That's a good thing to add to the letter.
It is unbelievable how many times you're threatened getting off that highway.
Oh, yeah. And I don't get a lot of phone calls, but I had no less than 4 phone calls after the last meeting when it was brought up and publicized. It really did surprise me because I don't hear from a lot of people.
Well, they just don't, people just aren't chronic complainers. They're not gonna just call in, they just deal with it, but that doesn't make it any safer.
Well, it doesn't keep anybody alive either. Okay.
Kevin, at the last meeting, I asked you and Paul if you'd check on Highway 19. Were they gonna put a turning lane in on the eastbound lane going into the airport?
I was just trying to help that up here.
I asked Greg that question when I talked to him, he said yes.
Yes,
All those main turns where you're coming east, there will be like a third lane left turn in.
There will be.
There will be.
yes.
Okay, I haven't been out there lately, but they must have widened the road considerably then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had peeled back the shoulders quite a ways, so yeah, it looks like it's gonna work rather well with it. And then I think 20 is gonna be fairly similar on some of those really busy turnoffs to get into the residentials. There might be some lefts there too, but I'm not totally certain.
20 south,
20 north,
20.
where they peel back there, they're starting to put in turn lanes there too, so that'll
put
be
the
nice.
turn lane on the truck route.
They did that one, yeah.
Yeah, and part of it too, like, I'm gonna mention when I was talking with Greg about it, some of it comes down to geometry. Cause they used to put in turn lanes and they were shorter. Well, now they've determined with as much truck traffic that's happening on all these roads, they need longer turn lanes, so you have more feeder area. Well, so you can't put in as many lefts as you want because everything starts to back up on itself.
Right, and that's the issue at Ackerman Acres at this point.
Yeah,
In order for the left turn lanes to be long enough to get a pickup and a camper and maybe a boat to turn in, if you're gonna have them every quarter of a mile, you're gonna have everything and everyone backed up and you're gonna cause more havoc than you've already caused.
yeah, so, and I think it's imperative that, it's important that we work with the state on it too, because if they can make it a safety, it's gonna be a safety project when it gets done. If we can quantify it as a safety project and put it in that bucket, then they'll pay for it.
Right.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to attack it from our aspect as well, but, if there's gonna be a bucket of money to spend on safety issues,
We want some of it.
yeah, it'll help our cost if there is a cost share.
I think,
We're into a public hearing discussion right now. But just keep in mind that the person who lives on that one turnoff into Ackerman Acres is gonna have more than 1,000 people a day going by their house.
Of course.
Yeah, of course it will.
I wouldn't wanna be that person.
It's kind of the luck of the draw.
well, I think, like Adam said, that, they wanna take out some of those crossovers.
Yeah, that's gonna be a
And
possibility.
I have a hard time arguing about that,
Right.
because there's way too damn many.
Yeah, there's, and it was, just talking about the concept of, obviously you don't know what's gonna happen yet, but that's probably going to be one of the options, because if you could, feed more traffic to just specific locations, instead of having 4, you knock it down to 2 or 3, then all of a sudden, all of them hit that standard, and then you get turn lanes put in.
Right.
Especially when it comes to geometry and the usage, and then, it's gonna be a change for people if that's what it comes to, but, I guess I'm not going to
And not
stop the good to look for the perfect,
Right.
Well,
and the emphasis is not everybody's gonna be happy.
no, there's gonna be some people that are gonna be slightly unhappy,
Absolutely.
but at the end of the day, if it improves safety and we can get it done, I think that's what we're gonna, what it comes down to is, like you said, we're talking probably ahead of ourselves. We gotta wait for them to come back with their traffic op study and come back with what they can
And
do.
the warrants, yeah.
And then we from there can say, we don't like that, we like it, we can go from there.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to add the sentences to the letter and send the letter.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Alright.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
We already had a motion to send the letter at the previous.
Yes,
meeting,
at the
right?
previous meeting,
So
I
we're
just
just-
wanted,
we're
I
just
just wanted
amending the
more commissioner input on it.
Okay.
And we'll move on to new business. We have the special permit for,
Move to approve.
Second.
Letter.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then we have we have some checks that we need to cancel that have been, not cashed
For a year.
for, over a year. You have that list? Go ahead.
Does Lisa have to be?
No, she
No,
isn't.
she's not.
I'm just wondering if everybody's been contacted.
Yes, they have, Bill. I know Jackie does the list and they have been contacted.
Yeah, she had a list of your addresses, there, so they must have been sent a letter.
I'm sure they have been, but I'm just double checking this for the rest.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the cancel checks. Sorry.
That's cool.
One question, I just reissued these then?
Yes, they either lost them or,
Some of them are pretty big, I wonder if there's any reasons why they don't catch them with them.
I have no idea if they got lost in the mail or if they just put them somewhere and
Get stuck on the ditch
it's,
under a pile
you
or
know,
something.
since we've been direct depositing the townships, we don't have many of those anymore. But we used to have some huge ones. This list is small compared to what we used to have.
Should get a hold of some of those people and ask them like Cowboy, if, you know, if they want those direct deposits when they come up.
Yeah.
That's not a
Well,
bad idea.
The thing is, there's not that many, and it does take a lot of time to do the direct deposit. You know, like the Cowboys coin, we don't issue them a lot of checks, so it's usually if they tow a car for this county, so. But
And how about this Nidlinger one?
that was treasurer's checks, that was one, they were reimbursed for taxes, I think they paid it twice. Or the bank paid it and then they paid it.
How old are those checks before they go to this?
Usually a year-old bill.
Year-old? Yeah.
Some of these are about 16, 17 months old.
Yeah, because she only looks for one motion a year, so
Yeah.
we're gonna be.
One
over
motion a
that.
year, yeah. Okay,
Okay,
so we have a motion on the floor to approve the canceled checks. Do we have a second?
Olson did.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
right.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. We have a appointment open to the Lake Region Public Library for a 3-year term. We got one letter from Lucas Wakefield.
I'll make a motion to appoint Lucas Wakefield to the library board.
I'll second.
A motion second to appoint Lucas to the library board. Any discussion?
It sounds like he's got a lot of interest in it, and it sounds like he'd be a good person on the board.
I agree with you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you. Let's see, we meet on the 10th at 9 o'clock, no, 10 o'clock.
They put you to work right away.
You'll get an email, I'll make sure, is your email address on this? Yeah, okay. We will,
Sunday? 10th is Sunday.
well, it's the 11th, I'm sorry. We all have different calendars. I look at certain things. Okay, so I'll make sure we got your email address and you'll get a packet, okay?
I appreciate that.
Thank you. And we need to set a date for the surplus property sale.
We're not to back up, but I think we missed the pledge securities,
Oh, I'm sorry.
just so we don't miss it.
Okay, yeah, let's not miss them. Yeah,
I
pledge
thought maybe you said
securities. Do we have a list of the pledge securities?
Here, you can read mine.
4,919 to Western, 7,946 plus to Ramsey, and 3,750 plus to Bremer. I'll entertain a motion to accept the pledge of the securities.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the pledges of securities from the 3 banks listed. Can I ask what this release 3 at 20 million was?
I'd have to ask Lisa for sure what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I gotta look at that again, just a second.
No, it's 2 million.
I didn't have.
If you wanna ask, just to ask her, I don't know why we would,
Okay.
why we released those
She can
securities.
explain it to you.
Okay. I'm wondering if it doesn't have something to do with the, no, it wouldn't have to do with the search and rescue. I'm not sure what it has to do with, that's why I asked. Anybody else know?
No, actually, I was gonna, I made a note to ask that as well.
It's not an antiquated security.
Sorry, I slowed us down.
That's
I
okay.
just noticed it, I was like, I gotta mention it before I forget to, otherwise we'll miss it.
Yep. Is Jeff here today?
Jeff?
Jeff? Jeff, Fred here today? Or is it Doris? Is
I
he
saw
on?
him, yeah.
I wanted, would you mind asking him to come in? I want to ask him some questions about the Garrison version. Hi. Lisa, we're just wondering why we released $6 million in securities.
What happens is we have so much money during the winter time and they raise our pledge of assets to cover it. And then when it goes down in the summer, we release them.
Oh,
The bank releases them. They come to me and ask me to release them.
okay.
So
So,
we had an additional 3 at 2 million that we're releasing, and then when we approve them again this winter, we'll move them up again.
exactly. Like
Okay.
December, we come,
Just line of
back
credit.
when we start collecting tax money.
Right.
And then we start, I'll start asking them for more pledge of assets. So we have everything covered.
It's just a bookkeeping thing.
It's bookkeeping.
It's
Yeah.
bookkeeping, okay.
Yeah, so.
I
Okay.
thought maybe you had $6 million to give me and I was
Sorry. Yeah.
darn, huh? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Have we voted on that or do we need a roll call?
We should probably do a roll call.
Roll call, please.
Lightfon,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Martins,
Right?
and Heisler.
Aye. Thanks for pointing that out to me. And the next thing we have to do is set a date for the surplus property sale.
I was thinking August 16th would be, which would be the second meeting in August. If that works out for everybody, because that gives us time.
That's generally when it is, I think.
That's correct.
Either August or September.
Yeah.
Right.
We usually do the August.
Because it's at 5:30, so the public can come in and bid it.
Yeah,
Which is,
very true. We got a bunch of good stuff on the list here.
not yet.
Anything fun?
It's
It's
all
all
good
good
stuff.
stuff.
We're just
Big money.
accumulating it, so,
Big money.
It's stuff.
That date?
yes.
I'll make a motion to approve that date.
I'll second.
A motion and a second from Martins and Lightfon. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. And you got the information from the North Dakota Association of Counties on Standing Committees. Was anybody from the county on any of these committees last year? I was on the legislative committee.
I have one.
And were you on that one last year, Bill? Which one were you on?
I've been on them several times, it happens at the conference, so,
Okay.
before the conference, they usually have,
Okay.
tele meetings and stuff like that, but I don't care to be on any of them this year.
And the legislative committee was very interesting. I was in a weekly conference on update from the NDACO staff regarding issues and assisting with lobbying efforts. I did go down 2 or 3 times, and it was extremely interesting, and they work very hard and they do an excellent job. Terry Trainer is a professional.
So that's during session then.
Well, it's not, it's before session, during session, yeah, the whole time. And it's not that you have to be down there, but it does make you keep up with the current issues there. And I enjoyed that and I would do it again.
I'll make a motion to have Myrna appointed to the board, to the legislative committee.
I'll second.
Anybody else want to have a place on any of these committees, auditing, nominating, resolutions, legislative?
Out of all those, I think the legislative one is probably gonna be the most important.
Exactly.
I mean, not nothing against the other committees, but I think we're gonna have to really have somebody involved during that process, because we're gonna probably have to go down and lobby a few times when things get tight. this
I think
session.
several times, yeah. Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There's also a letter from Garrison Diversion, and I kind of wanted Jeff to step in and kind of give us an update of where we're at with Garrison Diversion. Do we get anything else from Garrison Diversion other than the opportunity to apply for recreation grants? What are we doing? What do we pay a year to belong to Garrison Diversion?
I think it's a mill that's legislatively mandated for the counties that Garrison incorporates.
Okay,
And I went all the way from Williams County to Cass County. You know, there's several of them in,
how many counties are involved in Garrison Diversion, do you know?
couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Okay,
I'd say at least 20.
I'd say 17 to 20, is that, do you know, Bill?
Pardon me, sometimes I have a hard time hearing.
Oh, do you know how many counties are involved in Garrison Diversion?
No, I don't.
I just want,
Sometimes at some of the, all the advisory committee meetings and stuff like that, there are people there that, they have things to do with it. I don't understand really why they have their positions, because, the pipeline that they're proposing to go from the west to the east is basically gonna put the Garrison Diversion out of business, but we still need to, maintain those, ditches and things like that, just in case you ever want to use them.
so we're paying $50,000 a year to maintain some ditches that might get used someday?
It's hard for me to understand.
It's 28 counties.
28?
The district encompasses 28 county. Each county has an elected representative on the board, which governs the Garrison Diversion Conservancy District.
Well, and I want to point out, we were granted a grant for recreational purposes this year, and we can apply again. So we've built some playgrounds, and we've done some work of that nature.
Well, the park boards usually quite a bit. I mean, if you go to, I think it's Ruger and Roosevelt, they both have, I think they have Garrison Diversion money involved in those playgrounds there.
They do,
I'm 99% positive Ruger for certain, because that's the one where kids play at one. And
okay.
they have a sign there that says money came from the Conservancy District on it. I don't know
Well,
how
we
much.
call them and ask them to come and attend one of our meetings and let us know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a bad idea, and I kind of like that idea that we would ask.
I
Rodney.
guess, Myrna, talking about that Garrison Diversion, I think at the event center out there, I think we have put in a grant for a few dollars, but you have to put so much time, your time for there to get that money. It's not, you just don't get it, you gotta,
Matching funds or matching contributions to it.
right, whether it's labor or whatever, some improvements that you're making to make this work, that,
In kind
Yeah, you
kind
said
of work.
kind, but-
Is
I
that
guess
what
I
it's
just
called?
thought I would offer that.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
well, I guess the reason I'm bringing it up is that I think we're looking at a real tight budget coming up, and I'm looking at ways to cut corners, and I just want to make sure that people of the county are getting the bang for their buck that they're contributing. I don't know about the amount of money and whether or not we should give it another year to see if anything comes of using this, of belonging to Garrison Diversion, or whether it's just, you know, they have like 17 employees or something like that, and I don't really understand what they do for Ramsey County, I guess.
They come to the meetings that I attend strictly to, let people know what they're up to, so I'm sure that's a very large part of their, job, so they'd be happy to come and let us know what they're.
Okay,
I'm not so sure that you can just opt out of it though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's legislatively mandated in century code, I mean, it's.
but I mean, why do
We can't just be
28
like, we're not
counties
sending money.
belong to it, and
They're the ones that were the beneficiaries of the initial project.
yeah, well, 24 counties do not belong to it. If you can drop out of the off the water board, if you can drop off of, you know, different things, I'm wondering if you can drop off of this.
But they were never a part of it, those
Yeah.
other 24, those other
24
counties.
counties.
I think it was, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, you know, where it's at either,
Well, I
but
don't
I
know
would
the
like to
complete,
know what we're getting.
Yeah, I don't know the complete back history, but of my understanding, when Garrison Diversion was originally set up, obviously it was a federal project. And then once it got to the 80s sometime, and it was obviously a realization at that point it wasn't going to be completed, then it was turned over to state control, and I think this was kind of a compromise that was struck, because the stuff was already in place, you know?
Well, the Conservancy District legislatively has been in place since the 50s.
Yeah, I mean, it's been there, it's just, it was kind of like the state's part of the federal
Right.
project to kind of oversee the project, I believe, and then, yeah, there was some federal legislative action in the 80s that basically shut down the opportunity to use it the way it was originally intended, I believe, and then
The
from now on, it's kind of been what it's been.
Reformulation Act, you
Yeah.
know, the Dakota Water Resource Act of 2000, and then one in 86.
86, that's right.
The reauthorization of Garrison, you know, basically took everything out of the Hudson Bay drainage system, out of that whole plan, except for the Red River Valley Water Supply Project. That's the only one that's mandated by Congress to
Right.
to go forward, and that's kind of what they're doing through that pipeline of theirs from Audubon to Ashtabula, or however they're gonna do it. But
At the cost of
$1 billion, you
$1 billion, yeah.
know.
I do agree to a point though, I mean, what are you, I mean, obviously, we're not gonna probably have a choice, I mean, like you said, it's legislatively mandated, but I mean, everybody's in for a mill, well, that's different amounts of money for every county too, and, you know,
Right.
what you buy in and what are you getting back for it. But I agree with Bill, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to have somebody come and give us a presentation on what they're doing, just so we know. Never hurts to be informed.
And how
How it affects us.
Ramsey County's benefited from it.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
I think we all know that we've benefited recreationally.
Yes.
But,
How
Other
we
than
can
that.
benefit as we move forward,
yes,
you know.
okay. So I'll try and set something up at one of the next meetings to have some representative from Garrison Diversion come in and give us an update on what they're doing for Ramsey County.
What's the deadline on that grant?
September 1st, it's already been applied for and given, I think, from the
Let's
tourism.
all hope that Garrison Diversion is very much alive and that someday we will benefit from it.
Right,
That'd be nice.
that would be great. I mean,
Who
you know,
applied the grant?
That's our hope for stabilization.
Susie from the tourism office applied for a grant and received it.
And received it?
Well, she's going to receive it, yes.
Well, they told her that she's gonna get it?
Yeah, she got a letter.
Oh. Be nice if the county would find out when that.
Well, you will on September 1st.
Okay.
Okay? We'll move on to a report on portfolios. Bill?
Well, first of all, I have to apologize to Susie Kenner. She was at the last meeting, and in between our last meeting and that meeting, a lot had happened out there at the ditch. And I'm talking about the Channel Lake. If anybody would like to go out there and take a look at that project that's going on out there, it is amazing. And I did go out there, and there were several people fishing on there, and they were catching fish, and they were happy, and that thing is so functional that you can move it around, and for different elevations of, as fast as the water can go up and down, you can change that docking system. It is absolutely amazing, and I apologize for not letting Susie share that with us. I was glad that she came up with an email right away. But other than that, we closed the airport grants for the runway improvements and stuff like that. They've been long in the process, and everybody probably knows that that was a pretty contentious land case. So All those grants are closed and the airport is functioning very, very efficiently. Other than that, our central planning council and stuff, we've had some special meetings and stuff like that to resolve some issues with some grants that we've had out there. And those are progressing. And other than that, Kevin's got his projects going. I'm hoping that we do get those culverts installed and stuff like that. So, other than that, I think everything's going pretty smooth on that.
Thanks, Bill. Mark?
Everything's going good at the Heritage Center. Pretty quiet this time of year. A lot of visitors are up. Talked a little bit about the law enforcement center at the last meeting. Rob took over as the jail administrator. I've heard some reports that, a lot of training stuff, exercises are getting done. A lot of little quirky things that weren't getting done are now getting done. Steve did, like Ed said, Steve did put on a hiring freeze. They're not gonna hire anybody until the numbers come up a little bit more, and everybody seems to be doing fine there. Sheriff's Department's been pretty quiet. I haven't talked to Steve since last week one day, and they're moving ahead with the search and rescue. Cement's poured, everything's ready to go. I think that once they start on that building will probably just go up in a matter of days. So I think it's like a giant erector set. Once it goes, it's gonna be done. I talked to Kristen before last week, and she was still applying for grants and just overall staying busy. That's all I have.
Okay. Adam?
From the aspect of here, the treasurer and the recorder have been pretty quiet, just been day-to-day operations. Chamber board, I missed the last meeting with the fishing tournament, and what I was told went off well. And real fun days went well, and won't seem to like that. County Housing Authority, I gave you some updates about the possibility of building some rent control, well, it's not technically rent control, but it's off of income-based apartments. We decided as a board to back away from those projects and not sponsor them locally. We had some concerns with the long-term return and cash flowing them, as well as using our reserves in order to do the to secure the loan. We would have used so much of our reserves, so we decided to more focus on our current buildings, doing some more upkeep and maintenance, and then looking for possibilities of increasing our in the future. So we backed away from those projects, and I think they're still looking for a local sponsor of the project or local investors, but we won't be one of them. Attending care, I haven't talked to Sydney or the sheriff lately, but it sounds like everything's been going well. And I guess that's all I have.
Yeah?
Yeah, Rhonda, as long as you're here, you go ahead with social service, any updates?
No, just day-to-day operations, things are going along well. We did, Rob Johnson and I did hear that we're going to be involved in a conference call regarding the grant project for telemed services, possibly through Heartview. Just got that late last week before the long holiday weekend, so we're pretty excited about that. And we're looking forward to starting the out-of-school suspension project using attendant care this fall with the school. Of course, they kind of shut down in July, so in August, they're gonna have their school policies prepared so we can take a look at them. So, no, things are going well.
Okay. And law enforcement, Mark pretty well covered that, so I don't need anything else to add.
Okay. The library board, we have one new member on board, as you saw. And we have some applicants for our position for library director. It seems that we take one step forward and 2 steps back, so I'm not real sure where we're at with it. I'll look at the applications again now this week, and unfortunately, Lyle, the chairman of that board is now off the board, so we'll have to put a new chairman in place. I understand they have at least one applicant from the city as well. So I'm looking forward to that. We kind of did a little searching on some of the applicants, and they proved questionable, so we're back to the drawing board, and we're doing a lot of advertising at this point in time. Forward Devils Lake, the executive board meeting has been postponed. I have not heard who the city has put on that board at this point in time. They restructured last week. And let's see, you heard from the Veteran Service Officer, and we, on your desk is the proposed wage study based on market movement that the auditor has put together with some, have you gotten some
Tanya.
assistance from Tanya?
This is from Tanya.
Okay, this is from Tanya, and these would be the step increases.
There's one, if you notice one column, if you have it in front of you, I can explain this. I got it Friday morning, so I worked on a lot of this morning. Some of it I worked on Friday, but if you look at the first sheet, it gives all the employees, and you'll see the 2016 step, except that social services isn't on this because they're the merit system, so I don't work with that. She doesn't give me anything for social services. And then if you look to the right, you'll see the 17 step. And then the one proposal is with the cost of living, which is an estimate of 1% right now. And then the next one is without the cost of living, it's just a step increase. So, and I know we talked about it before we contracted with Tanya again to get this to you the first meeting in July, so we can move forward with budgets, because we are requiring the budgets get in next week or early the week after that, so we can present it to you the first meeting in August, so we can start working on mills and where we're at. Right now, I'm still working on the abstract, the supplemental to go into the state. I'm waiting on some reports from the city, and I can't send in anything in until I get everything. And that's kind of holding me up, but at this estimate point, I think I estimated a mill. I thought it'd be in the 60,000s, but we have so many increment districts. With that taken off, it's about 53 to 54,000 a mill is worth this year. And that's an estimate. That's an estimate. I'm still working on a few parcels.
So we're like 7-8% increase.
Well, yeah, because the city went up 9% and then farmland went up 2%.
We were what, 51 something?
No, we were 50,000,
$50,000.
$55, something like that.
That's 8, 9,
50,170, I think.
Okay.
That's what we're gonna do.
Might have gone wrong a little more, I don't know.
I-
That was my last number I got.
I've been working with so many numbers this last week, it's crazy, so. But, like I said, I'm gonna rework this again, but I don't know which one you want me to hand out to the employees, the department heads, I should say. I
You
don't know
have
if
to
you-
hand one out to them right now.
Right, so they can figure in the budget. The movement, you know, the market movement or the market movement with 1%. You can, you know, we can come in high and then we can always amend it down. We can't come in low and then amend up once we do our publications. And that doesn't start till September. But
Go ahead.
they really can't figure their budgets until they have what the board's going to decide for wages.
When are we looking at budget meetings again?
Usually we start the first meeting in August.
First August, right?
We used to start in July, towards the end. If I can get them all together, we might have a few at the end of July with the department heads.
Well, Benson County has put it on the press that they're cutting, they want their department heads to cut 10%.
On wages or just
Everything.
overall?
They just have to find 10% per department.
The state put it out in the press.
Oh, yeah, the
10%.
state's looking at a 10% cut, yeah.
And Benson County's looking at a 10%.
But I think the state is still giving a wage
Yeah, the state
increase.
didn't cut the wages.
No, they're just thinking about.
And it would not, so then if we asked our department heads to cut 10%, it would be an operations cost rather than in wages?
I would say so.
That's right, you know, and as Elizabeth goes forward with here, we always want to be on the high end because we can always go down, but legally we can't go up.
That's correct.
But first step we're talking about is giving direction to the department heads on what to do.
Right.
Right, by this scale.
That's the step we're talking about.
You can take Britannia's wage study and tell them they can budget with that. And then if we want to just tell them the whole firm where they're at with their budgets, I don't think they'll have a problem with that. At least we're not telling them to cut 10%.
But we may have to.
Well, we may have to, we can always go down, but we can't go up. So if we tell them to cut 10% now, and we go past our deadline, we can't tell them that they don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
Good point. I just don't want to give employees and department heads a pie in the sky look and then turn around and axe them down the road. So I think maybe we need to have a department head meeting here pretty soon and explain where we're at and what we think we should be doing. Let everybody, you know, Ed, you got a good point. If Benson County's doing that, I don't know if they have any issues that they have to be dealing with, but if they're doing that at the top, are they gonna go down farther than 10% then? I don't know.
I just go by what I read in the Benson County press, so
Okay.
I guess that's their county papers, so that's what I believe.
And that's what the state is pretty much.
Quite an article in Farm Forum yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah,
You had a chance to read it.
Yep.
and part of what needs to be taken into account too is the state's looking for a 10% baseline budget decrease, but theirs won't take effect until the 19th fiscal year. So actually,
1919.
yeah, so our 17 is affected by, it'll be affected if they go into a special session, but I mean, our funding from the state is pretty well locked in for next year's budget, but I agree that I don't think it would be a bad idea to start ramping down with the anticipation that 18, we're gonna have to look at least a 10% cut, so maybe we, instead of just jumping down, we maybe,
Gradually.
work our way down instead of just having to just, and there might be savings that we can find 10% this year anyway because of one-time projects or whatever, but I mean, I think it's just a matter of, we don't have to necessarily just drop off the cliff either, but I mean, we're gonna have to look at cuts. I think that's gonna be,
Well, that's
that's
a
pretty
given.
much given at this
Yeah.
point, but they won't necessarily affect us completely until 18, but, and, like, what I'm thinking about is like the social services buy down. That's not locked in stone going forward. Well, if we don't start moving down now, with the anticipation that we might not get all of that or any of it, then all of a sudden we're gonna go from here to here in terms of where we're gonna have to fund, and it's gonna be a mess.
They've already given.
At the last legislative session, there was a lot of talk about the governor going to an annual budget instead of a biannual, and I think this is going to force that in the next legislative session.
Well, I think but I think the governor had fully anticipated that the Attorney General was gonna be the next governor of North Dakota, and that's not the case anymore, so I have no idea what to expect.
Well, I think
None.
the way that it's appearing, I think there will be an annual budget instead of a biannual budget.
Well,
No, I doubt that.
I think we need to look at what we control,
Yeah,
can
just-
control in our own county.
I agree.
Yep, I think you're right.
And we can
Ramp
always,
it back, we need to ramp it back,
Too
spending.
erratic in this day and age.
like you said, we can always move one point and then move backwards too. I mean, it's not like we can't figure out where we're going from, but.
What do you think, Betty?
Well, from my opinion, it's very hard to figure a budget without knowing what they should put in for wages. And wages should be number one, because you have very good department heads. They never overspend. They're very frugal. I don't think we have a lot of projects coming as far as the courthouse maintenance and all that. We're pretty stable once the roof gets done. I think in the future, there's probably gonna have to be new windows and other stuff, but, I don't know, with the buy down in social services, I think, you know, I don't think we can ever go more than 20 mils, because I think that's set already, correct? Is my understanding, talking to Debbie.
That's funded going forward then.
That is
Yes.
set in
Because
stone,
was my
According to what
understanding it wasn't.
the 20 mil maximum.
We're funded till July 1 of 20,
Yes, for next year, but
Right.
but 18 that's completely off the board, correct? We don't have a clue where we're gonna be funded in 18.
I think, Ron.
That was my point, is 17, we gotta, we know where we're gonna be at, but 18, we have no clue.
right.
That's
I
gonna be
think the
determined in the
state's gonna
17
take
session.
over service. I think there's probably no question that's
I think
gonna
it's still gonna be Ramsey County that they'll just pay us back, is my understanding, talking to Dave. That they'll fund social services, but it'll still be under the county's
Right.
umbrella, where they'll just
happen.
reimburse us.
They don't want all the
Right.
county employees to turn into state
Right.
employees like that. So they
They're
want-
looking at a funding formula
Right,
similar to the school funding formula. Now, there's really a lot of what the heck's gonna happen now, because I think people were pretty certain that Stanton was going to be the Republican nominee, and that didn't happen. So I don't know what Mr. Burgum's stance is on, social services.
Or whoever.
Certainly, he made a lot of statements in his campaign that were not favorable for us, but.
Well, my whole point in saying it is just, at this point, it's all conjecture as to where the budget's going to be in 18. So like Ed said, all we can do is plan from our aspect to figure we're going to have to look at state funding that is gonna be decreased. So how do we anticipate that as a county? We don't know how it's gonna be decreased at this point. And if we're pleasantly surprised and they do continue to fund social services and things like that, we'll be in good position then in 18 already.
Right.
You know, we just have to plan ahead, is all it comes down to, so.
So what you're saying then is our 17 budget is still based on the state's,
Yes,
what the
what they
state has
determined,
given us
yes.
in the last biennium.
What they determined in 15 will be our budgeting baseline for 17, with the exception of if they have to go back in special session to reduce for the remainder of the biennium, which is a possibility at this point, we
Yes.
might see some possibility of some decreased
How
funding
soon
levels.
would we see that special session?
Special session this year?
There's a
Yeah.
possibility. I don't think it'll happen.
Generally, don't, put the mandatory cuts on anything in human services or anything like that, that's already been in the budget
Oh,
process. So
yeah. And
Well, they sure did with
I have-
some things
I have
in
a-
social
I have
services.
something that I need to know, is if, I don't have an updated agenda on my tablet here or anything like that, but if this discussion isn't on the agenda, we really can't make any motions or anything like that. I think Elizabeth is just trying to go forward
Right.
with something, and I
Exactly.
think if she just goes forward with a neutral, saying that we'll accept Tanya's recommendation on that, and that they shouldn't, just go forward with their current budget or something like that, I think we're safe to go on to the next meeting.
Well, we can't make any motions when we're reporting on portfolios, which is what we're doing right now. I would like some input from the other commissioners on whether we should have a department head meeting before the next meeting in order to determine how we're going to ask our departments to deal with the budget.
give them directives. at
And
that
give
point in
them
time.
directives at that point, rather than doing something we shouldn't be doing at this meeting.
I would like to have if it's possible, to have a special meeting with all the department heads this week. Because like I said, puts us behind schedule if we don't move forward
Yeah.
and get something out.
What
Because
day-
you're gonna have numbers all over the board if you don't.
On that note, what day would be good for the commissioners? Are you out of town, Bill?
I'm in Arizona, and I will tell you that it's 110 degrees.
Nice.
Well, it's good we got you in the air conditioning.
Yeah. When will you be
Yeah,
back?
Thursday I'll be home.
You'll be home Thursday?
Yeah.
So you're coming home tomorrow?
late Wednesday night.
Okay,
So what time?
Elizabeth, you want a department head meeting with yourself?
No, with all the department heads and the commission.
and the commission.
When will you be home Thursday, Bill? Cause I have to
He's
leave
home all day.
all day?
So 8 o'clock in the morning, Thursday morning,
That would work fine for me.
will that work?
I have to leave Thursday evening.
Don't miss your flight.
Okay, 8 o'clock,
This
Right.
has been tons of delays, I was 6.5 hours late getting here, so
That's good.
it's all weather related storms in the air.
Okay.
And then at that point, we can make a determination on
Yeah,
this
and
as
you
well
can
as-
always attend by phone too. I'll make sure that you get, do you have your tablet with you, Bill, so that you can, get copies of the proposed with the market movement? And I'll also,
And that's in the air.
okay, all right, yeah. But we'll,
I think it'll be good, it doesn't look like it's gonna be a problem.
okay. Any of the department heads on vacation this week that you know of? I don't, is
know.
Kristen on vacation?
I think she's back tomorrow.
She's back tomorrow, okay.
Just one day.
Anybody else that we know of? Okay. Okay, so we'll set Thursday morning at 8 o'clock for department head meeting with the commissioners to give them some direction on upcoming budgets. Can you have Christie come as well?
Sure.
Okay. She's your numbers girl. I don't know, is Brent your numbers guy?
No.
No. Okay.
Kevin usually does it.
Kevin usually does it all.
Is this enough time to get the department heads' numbers together, or?
These are their numbers that we've
Well,
got to work with
We're
right
just
now.
talking about wages
We're
and
talking
then,
about wages,
and then you can discuss, like you were saying, 10% cut.
or what they want to do.
They don't have it together yet.
Yeah, they don't have it together, but it will give them some direction so they can get it together.
They've been working on it.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's looking.
And I know social services has been working on it, because I think we have to get that reporting to the state on the 15th.
Right, but there's lots of other variables.
Yeah, I know.
The Department of Human Services has cut our revenue with, what we get reimbursed for. July 1, we're not gonna get the 3% increases on abuse neglect assessments that we do, childcare licensing that we do. So we're looking at some positions that we'll be eliminating this month and early next month to make up that revenue for especially the home and community-based elderly and disabled reimbursement was cut in half for the we call them traditionally homemaker skills, laundry, shopping, housekeeping, which keeps people in their homes longer to pay taxes. They cut that in half.
So anybody that says that human services budgets aren't gonna get cut, that's not exactly true. Or anyone who thinks that they're not gonna get cut, sometimes it seems like the most vulnerable are the ones that get cut first because they have the least voice. So, on that note, be thinking about what you wanna express to your department heads on Thursday, and is there anything else to come before the board? I'm gonna say one thing before there's a motion to adjourn, please. I've gotten some feedback on the agenda and the visitors and delegations. At no time have I ever, in the last 7+ months of being the chairman of this board, been approached and asked to be put on the agenda by anyone, other than at the meetings. I would like it to be out there and knowing that anyone who has an interest in something happening or of concern to the Ramsey County Commission specifically is more than welcome to contact myself or any other board member to get put on the agenda with something that we can do something about. And now, Bill, I will accept your motion for adjournment.